Welcome to stage 11 of the Tour de France, from Valence to Saint-Maximin-la-Sainte-Baume, a flat stage as the race exits the Alps and into the transitional stages in the center of France. There's one breakaway survivor, that's Jelena Tavkoledze. She was part of a group of 3, but she attacked them recently, and now she's just trying to hang on. Peloton are mostly intact, all the sprinters' teams trying to get organized. It's been a while since they've had a flat finish like this, so they want to make the most of it. Especially Miroslav Kostra here, the green jersey. He's leading that competition by around 50 points, and if he wins another stage, he'll just about wrap that jersey up. As for Superchalk, Trativat, Johnny Valters, Ishikawa Kitetsu, the other contenders for that jersey, they need to make something happen today, try and outscore Miroslav Kostra. Castelli taking control with VeloTour, Forrestal, Jupler, and Duimel. Seems those 4 teams the most interested in taking initiative at the front of the race. The yellow jersey Caillou is here as well, either trying to keep himself in good position or even leading out Johnny Valters. Little uncommon to see that on the flat stage of the Tour de France, especially this far into the race. There's Superchalk Trativat a bit quiet in this Tour de France. We'll see what he can do at the finish line today. But as usual, it's the red jerseys of Castelli, sending so many riders to the front of the race, 10Ks to go, and the massive red lead-out train starting to form once again. VeloTour, Forrestal, there's a rider up there, I'm not sure who that is, could be Kitetsu. But it's a fast pace to the finish, and what's happened to Jupler, a lot of their riders being dropped. Not sure what this is about. I think the observer just wants to see if any GC riders are in this group, and Rico Rudiger is. Now this is a big surprise, Ibai Light is there too. So I'm not sure what's happened, but there's been a split on the flat road in the Tour de France. And Rico Rudiger, who I think is in 2nd or 3rd place overall at the start of the stage, well, he's in 3rd just behind Kelvin Moore here. Well, that's a blow to Euskaltel Euskadi to keep their Super Domestique up there on GC, but the race goes on. 43 riders have made the split, and we're approaching the Flamme Rouge, just 2Ks to go now. The pace has slowed Valnord. See if they can pick it up again. Might give an opportunity to the group behind, but here's the final sprint to the line. Trativat opens it up, straight through the middle, but has he gone too early? It's going to be desperately close with the Jupler rider, that's Casper Bosmans, and he gets around Trativat right on the line. Perfectly timed sprint from Casper Bosmans. He stayed in that slipstream for as long as he could get away with. But then right at the end, he burst out and just gets around the Thai sprinter. We'll see what the damage is to that group caught out in the split. I'm not sure if they'll lose any time at all in the end there. I think there are enough riders in between. We'll have to see what the math looks like. There's Tavkoledze, the lone breakaway survivor, and a few other stragglers out on the stage today. So let the calculations be underway. And it seems that group has not lost any time. That second group with Rico Rudiger and Ibai Leida. So Euskaltel and Kyoto breathing a sigh of relief. So the stage results for stage 11. Casper Bosmans of Jupler is the winner. That's only the 2nd win of this season for the Jupler team, so they should be delighted with that. He takes it ahead of Superchalk Trativat of Valnor. Blaise Robillard of Natalia was 3rd. That team continues the great Tour de France. Ishikawa Kitetsu 4th for VeloTour, Forrestal, and Mario Matsuda 5th for Hackett. Haven't mentioned him much in the Tour de France, but he's made some sort of impact at last. Johnny Valters was 7th place, Miroslav Kostra was 8th. So Kitetsu gaining a little bit back, and Trativat on Miroslav Kostra, so we'll see what those green jersey standings look like in a minute. Meanwhile, in the GC, there's no change, no meaningful bonus seconds, and that split in the peloton ended up not doing any damage. So the top 10 looking exactly the same. In the points jersey, Miroslav Kostra maintains his lead, but he's lost a little bit of ground. Casper Bosmans with that stage win is up to 2nd place, Trativat is now 3rd, and Kitetsu close behind in 4th. Johnny Valters in 5th. No change in the King of the Mountains competition. I think just a couple of points on offer today. So Rodolfo Lucci has the lead for that. And then Euskaltel Euskadi still leading the team competition. For the riders trying to win the Tour de France, that was the only break they got, and for Rico Rudiger and Ibai Leida, it wasn't much of a break. Got a bit stressful at the end there when that split happened in the peloton. But the GC riders will be back in action tomorrow. We have a long, flat time trial of 57 kilometers from Aiguille to Chateau Bernard in the south of France. Should be a very fast course, and we'll see if the wind plays a part, especially with that Mistral. So with that short prelude, we'll go ahead and jump right into the time trial on stage 12. And this is Yevgeny Volashkov we're looking at of the AlphaTauri team. We had high expectations in the Tour de France for AlphaTauri, but the course hasn't suited them. The time trial's a big problem, and they have not performed to their standards in the mountains. So that team was on the back foot and looking to turn things around in the second half of the bike race. I doubt they'll get too much out of the time trial today, and Luis Sancho, this rider here, should lose a lot more time, judging by his past performances. Already 3 minutes behind the fastest time at the first checkpoint, and there's still a long way to go in this time trial. Now the wind is playing a big part in today's stage. It was a lot stronger earlier, a very strong tailwind in fact, so the early starters have a big advantage on the course. The likes of Banabi, Veninger, Emma Meyer, Diana Stephenson, they should be the fastest riders at the finish. So we'll see which one of them ends up winning the stage. Unless the conditions change very soon, I doubt any of these later starters, the men high on GC, are going to end up winning the stage. And in the meantime, Rico Rudiger, 5th place at the start of the stage, 153 behind his teammate Jean-Marie Caillou. He's gone through in 14th place, 1 minute slower than Kazim Banabi. So we'll set that as a benchmark for some of the other climbers to come here. Navarro 1 minute 20 slower than Rudiger. So what really matters in this time trial for the GC riders is how they compare to each other, not as much the early starters who are a long way down on overall time. Here comes Kelvin Moore in 2nd place overall, a fantastic Tour de France so far. In his first time check, 1 minute 48, so 48 seconds slower than Rudiger. It's a sizable gap early in the course, so we'll see if he can limit the losses later on. And Caillou 34 seconds behind Rudiger. And I think Toutain was around 56 seconds down on the fastest time, so it was actually a little bit faster than Rudiger. With the riders making their way across Provence in the south of France towards the second checkpoint. The village we're finishing in, not too far away from Avignon, just to the southeast. Famous little town, very rich history. It was once host to some of the rogue popes back in the day when they didn't feel like living in Rome. Little known fact about the history of the Catholic Church. In the meantime, we're heading up to the second checkpoint with Carlos Snello, who's a very poor time trialist, so it should be many minutes behind. Diana Stephenson of Jupiler currently is the fastest time at checkpoint 2. And I'm not sure what the situation is at the finish, so we'll see who ends up winning that stage, because it seems the observer's not gotten us down to the finish yet. Nello, Pavlova, Sancho continuing to lose a lot of time. We'll see what Pavlova's done here. So she is 4.5 minutes behind the fastest time at checkpoint 2. Leida a bit faster, about 1 minute 10 seconds faster than Pavlova. But what of Rico Rudiger, very good time trialist. 8th at the second check, 51 seconds back. So it seems he's accelerating along the course here. He's riding a very measured race. And what of Hippolyte Toutain, such a special time trialist. He's really weaponized that this season when it comes to the stage races. The leader of the Kyoto team, he crosses the second checkpoint, 6th place at 43 seconds. So he's 8 seconds faster than Rico Rudiger. And as a reminder, Toutain, I think, is around a minute 43 behind Jean-Marie Caillou at the start of the stage. So he's in striking distance of that yellow jersey. No guarantee Caillou's going to hold on to that at the end of the stage. Kelvin Moore coming through, 2 minutes 24 back. A sizable deficit, about 1.5 minutes behind Rudiger and Toutain. The yellow jersey, 2 minutes 7 down on Stephenson. So he's also close to 1.5 minutes behind Toutain. So Toutain is close to taking that yellow jersey away from Jean-Marie Caillou. And unless Rico Rudiger ends up beating Teuton to the finish by 6 seconds or better, I think Teuton might be the new yellow jersey. At the finish, it seems Emil Meyer of Nautali has set the best time. Remember, he won that first time trial, so he could be headed for another stage win. His teammate Rodolfo Lucci is going to be a long way behind, so they might end up getting first and last on the stage today. Such as the range of abilities of the Nautalia team, Lucci losing around 7 minutes. These long time trials not commonplace in the Tour de France anymore. They're considered a bit too barbaric and a bit too decisive in terms of the GC. But in the VeloTour, the riders not so shy, they'll take on any challenge. It's the beauty of this competition. So if you're not so good in the time trials, you might as well work on it in the off season. Maybe Sancho will come back next year with a little more experience in that discipline. He's lost a lot of time, well into the finish here. 5 minutes 50 behind Emil Meyer on a 57-kilometer course. Rudiger is 7th at the finish to 59 seconds. Lingshen coming through. He's been a little disappointing on the course today. We haven't talked about him much. He's just trying to stay in contention for a top 5 finish. And here comes Teuton. He's trying to reclaim the yellow jersey, prove that he can still win this Tour de France. He was 6th at the second time check. He's ridden a good race despite the wind. 7th at the finish, just 1 second ahead of Rudiger, but that's enough to be ahead of Rudiger in GC. So now we're just waiting for Jean-Marie Caillou, who is a minute 43 seconds ahead of Teuton at the start of the stage. And judging by the way things looked at the second time check, I think Caillou is going to lose that lead. Calvin Moore approaching the finish here. He was 2nd place at the start of the stage. He won't be at the end of it, but that doesn't take away from what he's done so far in the Tour de France. He'll still be in contention for a high finish. And Jean-Marie Caillou, the yellow jersey, 3 minutes 2 behind at the finish. I think he's lost his race lead. Just by a few seconds, mind you. He's around 2 minutes behind Teuton at the finish, and he had a minute 43 at the start of the stage. Let's unpack the results of the time trial on stage 1. A long 57-kilometer course, and the time gaps really stretched out, in part due to the wind. So the early starters, a lot faster than some of the later riders, normally would not expect Teuton to be a minute behind the winner. But Emil Meyer has profited from the windy conditions. He wins the time trial by 2 seconds ahead of Abdulkader and Gama. Diana Sevenson of Jupiler was 3rd, so Jupiler getting 2nd and 3rd. And after winning a stage yesterday, they got a nice chunk of points there. Otis Grimsby 4th for Hackett, Kazim Babi 5th for Kyoto. And among the yellow jersey contenders, Teuton was the fastest, 58 seconds back. Rico Rudiger 1 second slower in 9th. Evgeny Balashkov of AlphaTauri was 10th. He had a great day today. We didn't talk about him too much. And none of the other GC riders in the top 20. So they have all lost at least 2 minutes or more to Teuton and Rudiger. The new general classification has Hippolyte Teuton reclaiming the race lead by 7 seconds ahead of Rico Rudiger, who's up to 2nd place. Jean-Marie Caillou is now 3rd at 17 seconds, so the Euskaltel duo is still in contention and there's some hard mountains to come. This race is far from over. 3 huge mountain stages, a tricky day in Monde, and a long time trial still remain. But Kelvin Moore, now 4th place at 1 minute 19, so he's not too far away. Chung Lingshen is 5th at 3 minutes 19. Navarro now 6th. Then Lida, Balashkov, Pavlova, and Sancho. And you see Luis Sancho, he's around 9 minutes behind. Probably not winning the Tour de France with that deficit. Time gap's really starting to stretch out now. Lucci down to 13th. He's almost 13 minutes back. No change in the points classification or the mountains classification. Go into the stage to Monde with the jerseys as they were at the start of the stage. And Euskaltel Euskadi, I think, have extended their lead in the team classification, except for Kyoto. Kyoto moving up to 2nd place, as we would expect, but Euskaltel still very much in control. But next in the Tour de France, we have the stage into Monde, a very steep climb towards the finish, famous for the exploits of Laurent Jalabert. Should be a very explosive finale, and an opportunity for some attacks to fly up the road. Well, 2 more transitional stages across the south of France, going into Carcassonne, and then stage 16, the race will enter the Pyrenees. As always, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time for stage 13.